it's good to go, and these guys will switch it from me to someone else.
You're actually lying.
I'm not allowed to swear. Okay.
Am I on? Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to the brand new CPS venue of the CWEA. It's really good to be here, and it's a way more intimate sort of a space that we're getting the feelers for. So I think there'll be some teething problems tonight, but they don't seem to be huge, so we'll just rock on with things. I'm going to start like MCs do with health and safety stuff, but instead of saying go out those two doors behind you and out the front, I've got a whole document that I'm going to read through for the first time properly. And it's the CWEA documentation. It says the WEA emergency exits. The WEA has 4 emergency exits: the front doors that you came in out the front, the 2 doors from the side here and back there, and the doors opening from the kitchen. They can all be opened from the inside without keys if we need to. So that's how you get out. The other thing that's worth noting when it comes to exit space is that door at the back of the hall can't be blacked out. So we're just going to play that by ear and see how it goes in terms of our lighting. But I think you'll probably agree, even with the lights that are on here, that the picture's showing up pretty well. So I don't think we're going to need to do anything about that, but that's just a TBA that we're working on. So those are the 4 doors. You're going to vacate the building and go out onto the main road. I'll talk about that in a second. There are earthquake procedure notifications in each room. There's a fire evacuation procedure and assembly points. If you discover a fire, operate the fire alarm, which is in the foyer or in the kitchen, dial 111 and get out. Then, if there's a fire in the building, leave immediately and assemble on the Gloucester Street footpath. Stay at the assembly point till everything is clear. Fire extinguishers. There are 2 fire extinguishers in the building. One just outside the door in the hall, and the other one is in the kitchen, I think it said. And one in the foyer beside the office door. So that's out the front. Note, you've got to pull the pin before they'll work. The fire hose is just out there. First aid kits. There are first aid kits in the kitchen. It's just underneath the drawer at the front. It's got first aid kit marked on it. And there's a defibrillator, or there isn't a defibrillator, at the moment just out through that door. Lottie tells me that there's problems getting pads for defibs at the moment. So it's a supply issue. So there will be a defib at some point, so please don't have a heart attack tonight. Yeah, it talks about the officer ACE at first aid. There are torches in the first aid kit, and there is a telephone in the foyer if you need anything, but we've all got cell phones here, so you can ring for that. So that's the comprehensive CWEA health and safety stuff. The crux of it is out these doors or out the back is probably the quickest way, and then get out onto the front of the building. So that's a little bit different. The other things that are worth talking about here, you've all had a familiarisation with the kitchen area out the back, and the toilets are through, again, you've probably seen. So they're through there and everything's available for you. So it's a little bit more concise and locked in and small and intimate than the other space, but feels really good, and I think it's going to work well. So welcome to the CWEA. So on that note, I'm going to start tonight with Dennis is going to have a few words. Now, Dennis is the person who first suggested we come here. Dennis did a lot of the legwork. Dennis was really keen in advocating that we come here, and he did an awesome job in pushing and shoving us in this direction. And well done, Dennis, is really I want to say about that. And I'm giving him a chance to say a few words before we kick things off. Dennis.
As you can see, I've got something prepared because I don't think I'm very good in standing up comedian rate. So I'll just read this out. I'll keep it quick. Evening, fellow members, visitor and guests, welcome. Analog photography was the norm when CPS met in St. Arthur Street until 1995. Consumer digital cameras and Photoshop 1.0 were released in 1990. For the next 29 years, CPS met at the Rickerton Community Church. During that time, analog usage declined and digital became mainstream and widely accepted. However, in recent years, analog photography is enjoying a revival. Today, Wednesday, the 29th of January 2025, CPS starts a new chapter in this new home in partnership with Canterbury Workers' Education Association. This is made possible by excellent teamwork. Heartfelt thank you to everyone in CWA and CPS, with very special appreciation to Lottie Vasson, CWEA Director, Lottie, and Ian Wars, our CPS President. I think it is the finest leadership by example and partnership, and we should see more of that in the world, I think. And ably leading the willing. A personal wish here. Technological and social changes influence art. Because of its digital reliance and integration, the impact on photography is significant. There always will be different points of view and preferences passionately debated between photographers, clubs, and beyond. Much of our differences are down to the why behind every pictures we do and do not take. These whys are personal, subjective, and shaped by our life experiences, memories, circumstances, as well as our plans, hopes, expectations, and mood at the time. Here's a little story. You all know Winnie? Fine. Winnie and Piglet are starting a new adventure. They know not where they are going and how they are going to get there. So Winnie asks, what is more important, the journey or the destination? After thinking for a while, the piglet answers, the company. When passion is spent and the glory of winning worn thin, we are left with memories and memories of the fellowship and the time we spent together and how we treated each other. Let those be happy memories. And all is well in our photography if we remain true to our hearts without injury to others. And at this, I wish you a Chinese Lunar New Year greeting. And Alistair, do you have that? Okay, you'd like to play that. And for those of you who knows, it's a theme song from Cheers. Listen to the words.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name. You want to go where people know people are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
I'm very glad you're all here tonight, and we will get to know each other's names later. Good night.
Thanks, Dennis. That was awesome. Something good and deep and philosophical to get us heading off. I just wanted to add my welcome to Lottie here tonight. It's really cool to have representatives from CWA here. I also want to mention Kieran from Photosynthesis, who's here with us tonight. He's going to be back in a couple of weeks to kick off what I think is going to be a really strong relationship with photosynthesis. So look out for that on the program and come along. There's some great opportunities on the way that have come about by us just being part of the city. So I think that's a really good plus from moving into town as well. Speaking of everybody knowing your name, there's lots of new people, new faces here. Welcome to anybody who I haven't said hello to. And Dennis is right that everybody knows your name, but let's give everybody a fair chance by wearing your name tag from now on in. So have a good think about wearing your name tag in the future. You can say something. Alan suggested you put your name tag in your car, then it'll always be here. When it comes to the work done to get us to this situation, I do want to mention a couple of people. Gordon's done a fantastic job setting up this sound system here. It's stepped the whole system forward a long way. That really cool camera is projecting things and sending us to the world. Andrew's got another laptop system up and running, and away we're going. We're streaming. That was all there and tied in for us at the RCC. We had to figure out how to make it happen here, and that's exactly what's happened. And Pete Curtis has put up those print tracks along the back there, which are got a little bit of an opportunity to see tonight. We put them up the other day and we were going, oh, do we need projection lights? But I actually think we do. So that's something more we're going to think. We'll put some lights on the roof to make that happen. Pete's also working on a shed for outside which will store all our display boards and other sort of stuff. So there's been a bit of work involved getting us here tonight, and there's a bit more still to come. So if you get a chance to help with that, then step up and do that. Okay, I'm just going to pass over to Nelson to run tonight's program, which is a sort of a rehash and a really an examination of the successes we had last year. So, Nelson.
Thank you, Ian. I think you could call this a show and tell night. For new members and for our guests from WEA, I'll explain what we have coming up. Tonight's presentation follows last year's work by members. We run many competitions throughout the year, and prints or images that do well are submitted all together at the end of the year for judging, and the winners were awarded trophies at final night. CPS awards 40 trophies on that event, and different grades, different subjects, and different formats. For example, print awards and projected image awards. Tonight, we have only some of the award-winning images. There were 25 award-winning images. They were won by 15 members, and of those 15 members, 11 are able to be here tonight. There will be some variation in that some speakers have provided lots of images as background to their winning images, and others will speak just to their winning images. Both approaches are fine. This is an opportunity for the winners' few minutes of fame. For speakers, I will introduce each speaker, which you'll see on a blue screen, detailing the award, and so I will tell you what the award was for. When the blue award details appear on the screen, would that person come forward and take the microphone? For speakers, just say next when you want to move to the next image. This is something of a variety show. I'm sure you will enjoy it. The trophies have all got names, often the donor's name, and they may not indicate what they are for. And so as part of the introduction for each speaker, I will tell you what the trophy was for. If someone said you won the AGFA Cup, you would have no idea what that was for. So I will announce that with each speaker. Our first speaker tonight is John Hawkins, and he is going to speak, and he was awarded the Champion Altered Reality Projected Image. John.
Is that better? Excellent. Right, so yes, the altered reality. Anybody here went to Paul Daly's classes for post-production? You would have done this there. I can take you through the process a wee bit, how you actually get an image like this based on 2 images. Next, please. So for a start, oh, that's not the one I actually wanted. Never mind, on to the next. For a start, oh, this is my grandson. For a start, what you've got to do is get a picture of the person without their hands on their face. And generally speaking, when you do this process, you want someone who's got a very stern look on their face. It sort of seems to work. But unfortunately, my grandson doesn't seem to have a stern face. Next one. That certainly doesn't work. And the next one. It was a little bit too happy, I think. Maybe the next one. So I chose this one here because it was sort of fairly typical of what my grandson looks like. And the next image is you put their hands on their face so that you've got 2 images to try and now merge together. Now, we won't go to the next photo yet because that's the actual finished product. But what we do is you merge the images with using different techniques on the layers. You get rid of parts of the hands. You enhance the fingers. And you play. I play around a little bit with his hair as well. And if we do now move to the next image, that's the final outcome. Now what you'll see there is that the hands are generally speaking up the face, not down on the face. So that's where you've got to try and blend that out, just using a process like dodge and burn to get rid of the parts of the hands. I did want to get his fingers so that they were on the middle of his nose, which would have been perfect, but never mind. Children are not that easy to work with all the time. But you'll notice that he's got strange looking hair. And I don't know if anybody's ever used in Photoshop the stylize paint option. You have a play around with that and it gives you some pretty amazing effects. But what you've got to do is if you do that over the whole image, the whole thing looks like it's got worms running over it. So what you need to do then is to get rid of those by just dodging them out or getting rid of them in any other way that you can. And that's the image.
Our next speaker is Simon Hayes, and the award was for the Champion B and C grade photojournalism projected image.
Hello. It does work. I've got a few notes that I took for this photo.
Next.
Yep. So this photo was taken about 10 years ago, so actually 15 years ago, and I was using quite an older camera at that stage. It wasn't a film camera, but it was a digital camera, but it was pretty primitive in the day. It was obviously at the AMP show. For those of you who haven't been to the AMP show, they have wood chopping competitions, and this was a bit of an unexpected scene. I wasn't really planning anything to do with this particular photo, but I just saw the opportunity, and so I tried several different close-ups of getting really close to the people as I could and zooming in a bit. That was a bit boring. It didn't really show the competitive nature of all this, of all the people actually chopping. So I ended up with a sort of a wide-angle shot and waited patiently until they all were within range and could see them all because they were working their way around the poles. So sometimes they weren't always visible. So it took a bit of patience to actually get the right shot. Used a very low angle too, and using the type of camera I had, the advantage of using a small camera was I could get to the front of the crowd pretty quick, and sort of muscle my way in. You'll see there's not many people there taking photos on their phones because there wasn't really cameras on phones back then. So I was one of the few people actually taking photos, but because the camera was quite small, I managed to stay reasonably inconspicuous, and it also had a flippy screen. So next. This is the camera that I was using, a Olympus 5060, which is pretty high tech in the day, and it had this flippy screen, so you could get right down low and basically put the camera on the ground and still be able to see what you were taking a photo of. And it had a nice wide angle, and it was reasonably speedy 2.8 lens. Yeah, that's probably about all I've got to say. I'll just have a look here. I have to write some notes. Yeah, it's just shooting up against the plain blue sky, isolated the main subjects in negative space. I think that worked quite well. And the lines of the poles actually directed your view up to the people that were participating in the chopping. So, but yeah, I think the camera was the standout here. It really helped make it easy to take the photo. One of the other advantages of this camera is it's got multi-spot metering, which I'd never encountered before, this camera, and it's quite clever. You can actually use it to spot meter a whole bunch of different points on the image, and then it averages out what the best exposure is, which is quite clever. I haven't seen that on any other cameras even more recently. So I use that even to take the photo. That's me. 5. Yeah. No, it was pretty basic. But it was pretty high tech in the day.
Thank you, Simon. The next speaker is Anne Yan, who has won the Champion Photojournalism Print. But the speakers don't turn their microphone off. It should be on. Yes?
Can you hear me?
No, that's someone. Try that.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear? Okay.
Yes, you're on.
My name is Yan Yuan. My English name is Anne. English my second language. I hope you can understand my talking. This image I shot on 8th of April in 2018 in the Good Mardi Run, Christchurch. For this sort of image, you need a long lens and some distance, otherwise the mud will come into your camera and your face close easily. So I used the 7 to 200 lens and use my Nikon, in that stage, use my Nikon 750, D750, and the setting is aperture 7 and ISO 1250. The shutter speed is 640, and the focal length is 125. This is just one shot, and for the photo image, project image, I didn't do much about the process, but for print is very hard because I usually go to Harvey Norman because I'm the member VIP. If you pay $10 and you get a half price every time you print, and but sometimes the quality not very good, the result not good. So I go to another place, is photo video shop, and the staff there are very friendly as well, but the machine similar, so sometimes the result not very good. And so I want to tell about the print experience I had. And also I go to Lin's, Kin. I just been once, and first time I asked some question. I said, I heard from CPS member, we can print a few and in one sheet, and one gentleman and impression, and he said, you don't ask too much question, we will charge you more. So he charged me $65 more than print. And another staff, well, they said he's not manager, he's not owner, but he charged me. So I only been once, I never back to print again. I think, yeah, not very friendly. And because if I want a card, he said the card there, you card by yourself. And not very friendly, but photo video shop and Harvey Norman, very, very good. The staff service, very good. And the price, very good. For 8 by 10, only $2.50 for never over $5, I think. And I submit this image, same time, another image is ice plan, I think. And I went to 2 shops, the print, the result terrible, it's black. I don't know, the green make some colors change. Or, then I went to CPS, the one night workshop for print. And Ian have good print, and he print run for me. The color, so beautiful, very natural. And so I certainly remember, I said, I let Ian print for me. But he said, you later you need to let me know earlier. Otherwise, you need to pick up from my home. I said, okay, I will go to your home, out of the country, out of the city. So I travel maybe 40, 50 minutes and to get this photo. But he print very, very good. So I got this award. I thank you very much. And and I just say 2 minutes more.
Yeah, sure.
About my another, I want to share my experience. I got another trophy, is Ron William, 2024, and also 2023, 2022, and 2023. I nearly got there. Joe got maybe 2-3 score more than me. And for my, I think I learned a lot from CPS members and from workshop. I think lots of CPS member is a very high standard, the skill. And but why I can get this trophy? Because I try to submit my image to every competition. If I don't know how to make, I learn. For example, the one is triptych. I don't know how to make triptychs. And one night, CPS, the one member is called Jeff Trotter. He showed his triptych how to make. So after meeting, I asked him. He gave me a very good video he made. It's easy to understand and easy to follow, that easy to make. And also Dana Andrew helped me a lot too. He gave me the link, so I learned from that. In 2021, since that year, I started submit the triptychs to national competition. I win every year. I got award, and 1 year I got 2 image award. And Ron Williams said, most people got 1, you got 2. Congratulations. So I got. I think I will continue to make effort. So last year I got a champion triptychs. So I'm very happy. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Anne. Next, our next speaker is Dawn Kirk, who has entered who got awards for 2 images. This one for the champion portrait print, and next for the champion natural history print. Can you guys read that top line? Because I could be redundant, really. Please go ahead, Dawn.
Nelson. Well, I use Ken's at the moment, but I hear there's a better price place out in the country. So, yep. This was taken on a workshop with Shelley Harvey. Yes. It's the only image of many that I took that day that I took any further. Her eye contact's what won me over. So there's not much done to it except made black and white and a whole lot of mess on the old container, tidied up, and there was a lot of gravel and that on the ground. So, yep, And this is kind of my passion at the moment, the birds. I can't really say much about the image, what I've done to it, because you don't do anything to them, but when they're in natural history. But I think the biggest thing you have to have on your side is luck. And you can either go out looking for birds, take your camera when you're going for a walk, and just get whatever comes along, or you can have a plan and study the area and study the birds. And this was taken out at Cattons Bay, and I was looking at Facebook today, and a chap had a post, and I thought, oh yeah, I can use that tonight. So tips for bird photography. Those that are doing it already will know it all. Those that aren't won't want to know anyway, but too bad. So I think the biggest thing is the light. You've got to watch where the light is falling. Definitely get it in their eyes. So you're watching a little sparrow and he'll turn his head around, so just take the photo when the light goes in his eye. Nice soft light. Anything too harsh, you get shadows, so cloudy days are quite good. And of course, especially in this, you've got to watch and know about the bird's behaviour. This is taken at the end of August when they're starting to think about spring, and it is a mating dance, although they do stay in couples for the year, and they just reinforce that relationship all throughout the year, but at this time it's the best time to get their mating dance, if that's what you want. You've also got to look at the environment that you're taking the photo in. This is Cattons Bay, and you go out there on a windy day and it's just all chop, and all you see are waves and the birds sitting in them, and you get nothing. So a nice frosty, calm morning is best. There's a lot of raupo, is that right, Catherine? Reeds out there. Rapu, thank you. And in the autumn, they're beautiful golden colour, and you get a beautiful golden background. And then you go out early spring and it's all bright green, and you think, whatever happened to the light and the beautiful background? And just, I guess you can just take lots of photos, and sometimes you look at them and you think, oh wow, I didn't realise that I captured them with that in their beak or something. But I've got a new camera that's got a lot of pixels, and I just find that I just spend a bit more time waiting on the right moment. So this isn't quite what I want, because you can't see the other bird's eye very well, but I'll take it anyway. And they say if you just go on a journey, and you grow with practice. And another thing I'd like to say, Dennis, seen you set the mood for the night. These creatures, they're not doing it for a hobby, they're not doing it for fun. They're just living their lives, so don't hassle them too much, because it's life or death for them, so don't interrupt their feeding or hassle them too much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Our next speaker is Alistair Phillips, who won the Champion Landscape Projected Image Award. Alistair.
Thanks, Nelson. Welcome to a new year, everybody. First, a little geography lesson. Next. How many people know where India is? That's not a good look. I need one of your hands. Yep, well done. So we've got India here. Next. Nepal. Up in the basic central top there, we've got a little province called Mustang. Next. So that's a bigger picture of Nepal. So we're looking around about here. So we're down below here, we've got India, and up here we've got China. So it's a landlocked country. When I joined CPS 15 years ago, or rejoined, should I say, 15 years ago, there were two photographers that inspired me or influenced my photography. One was a guy called Steve McCurry, who's a photojournalist who photographs predominantly in Asia and around, well, generally around the world, but in Asia, and is famous for his portraits. You would have all seen, I expect, one called The Afghan Girl, which was on the front of National Geographic. The second photographer that influenced me was a club member, former club member, a lady called Patty Madsen. Patty, she visited India, and this was back in, like I say, early 2000s, 2010, India and Nepal, and she came back with some absolutely awesome prints, pictures, images of people, and predominantly people, which she shared with me and talked to me about, and that really inspired me. She went to this, she did a trek in this mystical, magical place called Mustang, Upper Mustang, and it's sort of all stuck in the back of my mind, back of my memory. And anyway, in 2013, I was fortunate enough to go to India for 4 months and up into Nepal for 2 months. I didn't get to Mustang, reason being it was in a restricted area and it cost a bit to get to Mustang, to visit Mustang. So I remained in the rest of Nepal. Anyway, back in 2023, last year, I went back to Nepal and made sure I got there. I did a 10-day trek. Next. That's looking back towards what are called the Annapurnas, which are a mountain range in Nepal. I did a 10-day trek. It's right close to the Tibetan border. You get up to an altitude of around 5,000 meters. Next. It's a vast, arid place. Next. The old capital was a walled town of what's called Lomanthang, which I'm looking down on there, and features the king's palace, as well as many monasteries. Next. The people live a pretty harsh life due to the climate and the conditions there. Their faith and language and custom is more Tibetan than Nepalese. Next. Whilst there, I encountered nothing but kindness and hospitality, and plenty of smiles from the people there that live in, with next to nothing. You know, I mean, we don't know we're born here, but they all seem very happy. Next. On the 4th day of the trek, I looked back towards the Annapurnas. It's nice using a long lens, so it's compressed the distance there, so it's quite a vast distance, but it's compressed it into quite a neat shot. I got this image with the hand of man scarring the landscape in the form of a newly built road. This is the one that took out the landscape image last year, entitled The Harsh Mustang. I shot it in JPEG. I shot it with my Sony 6400. I used a 18 to 200 millimeter zoom lens at 40 millimeters. F11 at 1/60th of a second, and the ISO was 200. Post-processing was in NIC, and all it was I did a slight crop on the left-hand end so that my road came down and neatly started in the corner. And minor tweaking with the sliders to enhance the contrast, and that was about it. Yeah, it's great to see all new faces and people here, which is great for a club. And all I can tell you is you'll see some great images tonight. We've seen some great images tonight. You'll see more great images tonight. But we all had first nights, okay? So don't just come along, and there's nowhere better that you can learn, okay? So enjoy.
Thank you, Alistair. Our next speaker will be Diane Kelsey. She would have to take the award for the most productive and best winner for a long time. I'm going to rattle through these real quick. Just give me a moment, Diana. So we have the wins she has are the champion monochrome print, next. The A-grade champion print, next. The champion of champions overall print, next. The champion A-grade projected image, next. The champion of champions projected image, next. The champion colour projected image, next.
Oh, not that one, but that's fine. Thank you. Fortunately, it's just 3 images I'm going to talk you through. I didn't prepare much, I'm afraid, so we are going to start with this one. Okay, poppies, right. Oh, no, we're not. We're not. All right, well, this is the black and white one. Now, I was in Hanmer, sorry, just walking through the woodland. The more I look at this, I actually quite like this, but I only had a 24-70, no filters, and it was like, oh, the light on those trees. What can I do? Just basically fiddle with my exposure, had a go. I've got quite a few of these, all different sorts, and I just changed it into black and white. Literally, I think that's all I did. Yeah, level black and white, so go next. And some of the trees started to stick out a bit too much, so I faded those away, and really it was just levels, curves, dodge and burn, and yeah, I still like it, but don't know that it's that great, but anyway, that was me. Very little preparation and not too much messing about for this. So, right, next. Oh, right, now this one, basically that's a light box. And my daughter, who's a florist, gave me a whole load of poppies. So I just literally threw them on to start with and fiddled around. And as you can see, I've got little clips at the bottom. And I've got one of them that had a short stem. I've got it taped with an elastic band or something to make the stalk a bit longer. So next. So I fiddled around with them. Some of them had to be stuck down because they kept turning. So that's basically what I started with. And I think I used a 24-70 for this one. Next. Fiddled around. What did I do next? Hang on. Oh, just removed. Oh, no, you've gone too far. Go back. Sorry, I said next. I didn't mean it. Hang on. I think they're out of order. Maybe, yeah, just did spot removal on this. I've removed the clips and all the bits and pieces. What have we got next? I brushed in a bit of a background. Now, the judge that originally judged this didn't like the background. She said it made it look murky. I actually like murky backgrounds. I didn't want it bright white. I wanted to do something else with it. I've also enhanced some of the colouring, played around with it a little bit, and I think I photographed each individual flower as well as doing an overall shot so that in case I missed any focus, and I could get real gritty texture. It actually looks a lot better printed, but anyway, I didn't decide to print it and enter it. Next. Then I decided I read a little workshop on how to do borders. So I picked colours out of the flowers and made a border, and I decided that was too heavy. So next. So I did a lighter one. I don't know whether that's better or worse, but that's the one I put in. And yeah, so that's it, basically. It's okay. Next image. They were out of order, sorry. All right, now, this one, that's on my sideboard with a grey card paper behind it. And I don't know, I've got some sort of a light on it. I think my blinds are all shut. There's a little bit of light coming from a window. And I don't know what, I can't remember what I did, I can't tell. But anyway, that's straight out of camera. So clearly, I haven't fiddled around with my lighting too much. So, hang on, where are we? Which one is it? Okay, next. Oh, all right, so what I've done with this one, levels, played with the color tone, and some light. I think these are out of order. Can you go back? Is that it? Is that the beginning one?
You omitted, got me to delete 3 images.
I know, but anyway, go on. Let's have a look at this one. Next one.
If you go...
Can you go forward? Okay. All right, go back. I can't... They're all... Yeah. So that's the beginning. All right. I took one out that I shouldn't have done, but it doesn't matter. Go forward. Clearly, I've done a lot on that one. What I did do on this, I think, I had my colour photograph, and then I turned it into a black and white, and then I blended it through the colour one. So it became more of a colour wash, so the colours were really soft, which is what I wanted. I didn't want anything to be too golden or too brown or anything. So that was what, and I've also painted light in. I think I went into Nick, I think, after we'd done the Shelley Harvey workshop, she used a lot of the light painting where you can move circles around of light. And so I did a bit more of that in there as an experiment. Next, added the texture and a little bit of colour. And I think that might be about it, actually. There's one more. Oh, yeah, that one, okay. Tweak the colour. They're all colour tones, and it's just really, they're all very similar, but I tend to just play a little bit each time and until I get it the way I want it. And so it's...
Excuse me, Dione. The caption for that one was image 8 at final, dodge and burn.
Oh yeah, I've just done a bit of dodging, burning, and the texture's in there. So I'm sorry it's a bit confusing, because I got confused, because they all look so similar, and a lot of the differences are only very, very subtle. And that's the one I printed out. Thanks for listening. Haven't got any...
Thank you, Diana. That's great. I've been checking out the images with the captions on the sheets, and they are in the order as supplied. The next speaker is here is Francesca Davies, and you have won the Champion C-Grade projected image. Congratulations, and there you go.
Good evening. I go down to Brighton a lot, and I used to take my camera with me, and I always come home with some pretty awful images and found myself quite stuck. So I tried some ICM, and I just thought I've got 3 images of ICM, so I just thought I'd talk you through what I do as basically a beginner. This was my first one that I was really happy with. I always shoot in manual. I only shoot in RAW, because if I shoot in JPEG as well, it's also blimmin' slow. I use auto white balance because I find my camera deals with white balance really well. And I turn the image stabilization off. I'm not sure if I have to, but I do. I shoot with a K1, which is way beyond my capabilities. So if there's any Pentax users out there, I'd like to talk to you. What else have I got here? And I always shoot in ISO 100 if I can, because I get a bit of noise in my images if I start getting up there. This one was shot with my K1 with a 70 on my 24 to 70 zoom at 1/8 at f11. Next, that was Lonely Brighton. This one I shot on an old camera of mine with a really old lens, a film lens that's got mould in it and it rattles. And I went down to Brighton on a really hellish nor'wester and just made a total clown of myself and laid in the sand and sort of tried to push myself out of being stuck. I can't really tell you because it's an old lens on a new camera, so I can't really tell you. It was ISO 100, that's all I know. And the next, please. This is the one that won the competition. I took this with my 85 prime, which I just love, at F16 1/30th. It was a really, the light was really, really unusual. I'm not sure if it really was a scorcher, but it looked like a scorcher. And when I got home, I just couldn't, I really loved it, but I didn't really think it cut it, but none of these images have been played with very much. They've just been tidied up a little bit in Photoshop. So I was really surprised to get there and really quite thrilled with it. Those are my pictures.
Thank you, Frances. So the next speaker is Janie McIver, and she's won an award for the Champion Monochrome Projected Image. There you go.
Hi. Right, if you want to bring up the first one, please. So this is, I'm just going to talk about my day, because I spent a whole day at Lake Huron. So I started off, I heard there was snow, and I'm off. So I started off at Lake Clearwater. It wasn't much happening there. It was a bit boring. So I decided to drive to Lake Huron and stopped on the bridge here and took this photo. And so just going to talk about my journey, because I struggle with the technical side of cameras. I've never owned a camera in my life up till about sort of nearly 3 years ago, and jumped straight into a very technical camera. So I think that's something I'll be struggling to learn all the rest of my life, but that's okay. I just want to go out and have fun. So yeah, next. So as soon as I arrived at Lake Huron, I realised that I'd really hit upon a great day. Just couldn't believe it, just couldn't believe my luck. Yeah, so I did spend the whole day there just driving around a sort of way up the road, stopping, and so next. Yeah, it was pretty snowy, pretty cold. This is one of the images of the little river that's, this little stream that's there, turned into black and white. It's something I discovered along the way. Next. This one, I don't think, yeah, not sure if this is one of them, so next. Yeah, so this one is, so I've said this is the raw, but actually I'm looking at some of my other images that have come either side. So I had this particular photo that is the one that I turned into the black and white. And I fiddled around with it, made lots of copies and did this and that, and then I pressed reset in Lightroom to try and get raw, and I didn't succeed, I don't think. So I say it's raw, but I actually don't think it is, because the raw photos either side of this particular photo are quite dark. It was sunset. My hands are freezing cold by that stage, and I'd spent all day there. Walked away up the hill in the snow while I was waiting for the sun to set. But it was pretty spectacular sunset as well. So I cropped the photo. I listened to the judges. I have been listening to the judges, and removed a bit of snow there in the sort of right-hand corner there, because I thought that might be distracting. And yeah, sort of cropped it a bit more. So next. So yeah, that's the final photo that I won the award for, and I had a pretty cool day, and that's what photography is about for me. It's getting out there, being out, walking around, just enjoying the beauty of New Zealand, and to me, it's just absolute bliss to be able to do that. And who cares about the technical side of things? It will or it won't. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Janie. The next speaker is Karen Dance, who won the Champion Projected Image Portrait.
I was somewhat surprised because on the initial thing it was just an acceptance. So I was quite thrilled that it came in the end. So, next. I love this photo because this lady in Angola, she was a real character. She had this great smile and she was interacting and talking about her day, what we were doing, and she was really interested. And the other photographers in our little trip, was 6 of us, they were out and about getting those kind of serious, big-eye, look-up kind of photos. And I've discovered during some of these tours that this tour that I went on, that I really like smiling. Like I really like an image of a person that's got life in their face, that has a smile. And so that's the direction I was going. And it's quite interesting when you're with a bunch of other photographers who they're more interested in that slightly serious view. So I just have to wait till everyone else is buggered off and have a chat with whoever I'm with and have a bit of a laugh, because I really wanted to get her smiling because she had such an engaging smile. And what was really interesting is her tribe, all the ladies, have this carving in their teeth. So it wasn't unusual for her, but I just wanted to get that smile with those eyes sparkling. And her headdress that she was wearing was, I thought it was a really cool fabric in terms of it was just layers, and I just loved it. So, and she was so nice and she was so patient, and we had a laugh, and that was what I enjoy about portrait photography. I think I had another image, but it's exactly the same because I couldn't remember what I was giving Nelson or not. So on the technical side, in case anyone's interested, I shoot on a Fuji X-T3, and I had a little lens on, which was an 18 to 55, so that's at 55. The X-T3 is a crop, so that means it's at 83. And it was 1/20th of a second at ISO 160, spot metering. I did the meter on her eyes because I was focusing on her eyes, and that's what my camera did, and that's what I did. So pretty straightforward and a lot of fun. And I cropped a bit off the sides basically, and that's really about it. Did a little, there was a couple, she had a couple of tiny, a couple of little white heads on her face that I took off because they were just totally distracting from her beauty and that smile.
Thank you, Karen. The next speaker is Penny Kennedy, and Penny has also done extremely well. She has won the Champion Colour Print, next. The B-Guide Champion Print, next. The Champion Altered Reality Print, next. The B and C grade Landscape Print, I think, next. And the Champion Altered Reality Print. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Next. Okay, so I just thought I'd give you a really quick rundown of how I did these in case anyone's interested in that. I was on a workshop weekend with Judy Stokes, something that PSNZ offered at a really reasonable price, so I took advantage. I learnt an awful lot in those 2 days. I thought I kind of knew how to do ICM, but it sort of went to the next level. The thing for me about ICM is that when I get it home and process it, I usually want to put into it something that I have felt at the time. of where I've been. So what I create isn't like this, it's how I feel about when I was there and what I saw, how that made me feel. So yeah, the first thing I do is check the histogram. If you don't know, the two little triangles in the top corners, if you turn those on, it will then show you clipping. So yeah, it'll give you an idea of whether things are, whether your whites and your blacks are clipped. So whether you've done overexposing or underexposing, that's a good place to start, I find. And then I go to the basic menu, which is the first one in Lightroom, and I work through shadows, highlights, blacks and whites to start moulding it how I want it. And yeah, and then at this stage, I actually cropped it. So if you go to the next one, I cropped it, and I had done a little bit, as you can see, on blacks and whites, and then I started to play around with the white balance because I wanted it to be warmer, because that's how it felt to me when I was there. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I shot the original at f/22. It was 7:30 at night on the New Brighton Pier, halfway down, looking right. And my movement was an across sweeping movement when I did it. So f/22, 1/5 of a second, ISO 200. One of the main things I learnt from Judy Stokes' workshop was, in the daytime or when there's light, stick your f-stop on 22, and it gives you a lot more freedom with your other settings, and you can play, especially when it's really bright in the middle of the day. So doesn't mean you can't do ICM. After the basic panel, I then moved on to colour mixer, which is the next one down, and I just played around basically with orange and yellow saturation and luminance, the sliders, and just did it by appearance, how it felt to me. Then I finally did contrast, so next. And then I decided those people weren't clear enough, they weren't dark enough to show up. So I used a mask, and I brushed inside that mask in Lightroom. So next, and there's the afterwards. You can just see they stand out slightly more, and that was important to me. And next, and there's the final image. All right, next one. So this is, you might recognise where that is. On the New Brighton Pier, right at the beginning of it, on the same workshop, almost the same time, and the settings were f/20, 1/5 of a second, and ISO 200. And I used a sweeping up and down move. I don't remember whether it was up or down. I don't know. I wave it all around the place when I'm doing it. I must look like I'm, yeah, I don't know. So I use the same sliders, I go through those, and I just look at the image and I decide how I want it to feel based on how I feel about it, you know, or felt about it when I saw it and when I made it. So in this one I used, I increased the blue, the magenta and the purple saturation in the HSL sliders, and then I thought, I want to warm it up a bit. So I increased the white balance, and then I went down to the very bottom when I was finished, just about finished, and there's an area at the very bottom of Lightroom called calibration, and it only shows up when you're working on raw images, and what it gives you is some creative freedom that you wouldn't otherwise have. It's different than the HSL colour sliders because they focus on changing areas that appear to be a colour, for example, red. They'll alter that with what you see. The calibration sliders at the bottom, they'll be showing you, well, every camera has different colour calibration in it, and you might notice that if you switch brands. and all of a sudden your images might look slightly different when you see them for post-processing. So the calibration sliders actually target the image at pixel level. So yeah, every pixel that contains red you can change by using those sliders. So that makes it a really powerful tool. So you kind of have to use it with caution. But if you wanted to correct a skin tone, like a really, red skin tone or something like that, or if you wanted to make one colour more intense, or if you want to just get creative, it's a good place to play. But do all your other work first and then just go there and have a play. And yeah, so if you move through to the next one. Okay, so that's me starting to play around with the black and whites and a little bit of colour. Next. That's what the calibration looks like at the very bottom, and that's what I ended up doing to this image. And then I got it to where I want it. Next. There you go. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Penny. Our next speaker is Paul Williams, and he has won the the A-grade champion landscape.
Thanks, Nelson. Left the best for last, did you?
Absolutely. That was the plan.
The print's over on the board if you want to use it, look at it. I'm going to be pretty quick. Next. This is what that image looked when I first took it. And I think the key lesson for my photo is you've got to be at the right place at the right time. And we took a special trip down to Twizel one weekend. We went down on the Friday night, because the hoarfrost was in. We've stopped over there a couple of times now and got quite a good lot of photos from Twizel and Tekapo and Sailor's Arms and on Lake Benmore. But this was what it was like with the hoarfrost. It's what the camera saw at least, but I could see that there was a bit of clarity there that could come out. What I was looking for is I could see the ice on the trees. It was really shining brightly even in the dull light. And there was colour there as well, which the camera, it could see it as you'll see, it brings it out, but it just with straight settings, it doesn't come out that well. You can see the histogram is all stacked to the right. So I deliberately exposed it a bit higher to be able to come back and recover some of those colours. So it was taken at 1/25th of a second, f8, ISO 100. The f8 gives me a lot of clarity. It's a very sharp part of the lens, or aperture of the lens. Next. So I did two things. I enhanced the contrast and I cropped it. This is a crop. What I was looking for is the trees on each side to be providing like a frame for the photo. And I was also, another thing I was looking for was a duck. I waited for the duck to get in that position, so it was on a third. And I cropped out most of the sky because it wasn't particularly interesting, but the reflection in the water it certainly was. Next. And so this is what I did with the settings on it. So it was quite a boost at the highlights because I wanted the ice to shine. I wasn't too worried about it going out off the top. Shadows were down, blacks were right down, so it lifted the image up from the top. And you can see in the histogram there the overexposure has gone down quite a lot, but the contrast, the width of the contrast has increased quite. It's flattened out. I did a big bump to the clarity as well, which you've got to be fairly careful with because it can have a big impact on your print. And if you get ghosting or chromatic aberrations or anything like that, it really does show. So the final part of this was to print it, and I printed on Canson fibre rag, which is a special paper that I've been using for quite a few years. And I've got the last few packets in the country, I think. They're not bringing in anymore. And that gives it quite a nice sort of three-dimensional look. So you can see the detail on the leaves. And I use a tripod as well, which is, yeah, without a tripod it might not have got it quite so clear. So that's my photo.
Thank you, Paul. I could rave on about the different styles and different methods and all of that stuff, but you've seen it. So what I will do is I want to thank very much all of tonight's speakers who have made this such a great evening. Please join with me for the round of applause for tonight's champions and speakers, and to WEA for making the place available.
Right. Thank you, Nelson. That was awesome. Throughout the rest of the program, throughout the rest of the year, we've got speakers. We've got a really fantastic speaker next week. Andrew Apps is coming across from Diamond Harbour, so that'll be really cool. We've got speakers from overseas. We've got all sorts of things. But I think tonight's a really good example of we don't need that. We've got a bunch of really good people here. We just need to stand up and have a yak about what we're doing. So thank you to everybody for standing up and having a yak. One of the things that I also got out of that is that people had successful photographs when they had successful adventures. So whether your adventure was in the frost like Paul was, or in the snow like Janine, or whether it was just an adventure on the light shining through the curtains of your own house. It's all about adventures and having fun. So I hope everybody will take a lot out of that and have fun with their photography for the rest of the year. So, okay, that comes to the end of tonight's sessions. I've got a couple of things to talk about before we go. Firstly, remember that projected image number 1 needs to be handed in tonight. So if you haven't done PI1, go home and do it to get into the first competition. And for next week, Nicola's going to start off with a first of her photo basic sessions. Do you want to say anything about that now? Stand up and speak loud if you want. Or sweet. Okay, 7 o'clock next week for Nicola's first session, and then Andrus will be here for his talk at 8 o'clock, which is going to be really fantastic. So a couple of thank yous for tonight. Firstly, Alistair for bringing all those pizzas again. That worked really well. He's doing that every time, and it's getting more and more popular, and the pizzas are better. Yep. Yep. Cool. And speaking of first in, first served, John's bought this huge big pile of books from his, I don't know where they came from, but in the back room that had to go. I had a bit of a scan through before, and there's some really good ones, so they have to go as well, and you have to be quick because I'm closer to the front than you are. So, okay. Okay, thank you to everybody who was involved in setting up the tech. Dennis? Okay, that's it. That's the other difference about this place is we have to tidy up a bit more afterwards, but I think we can live with that. So let's be doing that. And thank you again for everybody. I hope you had a good night. We'll see you next week.